Okay, so I'm going to start by giving an overview of issues that are now getting into the international debate about the sustainability of the financial system. This is starting to be a real hot topic. There are many global challenges, but a huge one is obviously how to make the liberalized global financial system support the real economy in a more efficient way. Just to have from this week's debate, Lagarde, the managing director of IMF, said in an interview this week, ultimately this is all about accountability. We need a financial sector that is accountable to the real economy, one that adds value, not destroys it. That's a quite strong statement from the head of the IMF. Now, there are good reasons for this strong statement. If we look upon some of the figures here, we can see how the investments in the real economy are declining. The period here is from 1950 going on to 2010. About, you see in the middle of it, that's where they had liberalization of the financial markets. Before that, the net fixed investments in the US were about 8% to 10% of GDP. After the deregulations, we can see a decline going down to about 3%. There are many things behind this, but it's not a coincidence that it has happened at the same time. In the 60s, each additional dollar of new credit from the banks led to 59 cents in new GDP in the United States. And during the first decade of this century, only 18 cents. If we look upon the private equity funds, only 6.5% of the capital they invested the last 6 years was used to add capital to the companies. The volatility of the stock markets is practically blocking the possibility for equity financing, and there is a talk now about an emerging equity gap. McKinsey has calculated that European companies will lack $3 trillion in equity by 2020. So what we are seeing is a declining in real investments and great difficulties for companies to raise capital. And there are many reasons for this besides the functioning of the financial system as such. One is the question about because this is really a supply issue. There's a question from the demand side about the austerity policies that is reducing demand in the economy, about the inequality that is actually increasing as we speak, and that is pushing 1% of the population to make them more and more wealthy, while 99% are squeezed without seeing any real income increases. And while they don't do that, we don't see the consumption growing. But there is a reason, and the main reason, I would say, for the increasing inequality, besides that taxes have been reduced for the wealthiest, it's the fact that the financial economy works in a way that actually increases this inequality. So, if the banks now aren't supporting the real economy, what are they doing? I mean, the question is really relevant if you look upon the size of the banking system. It was 1990 about 128% of the GDP, which is a normal size in the European Union. Now they are 365%. And you can see it didn't stop with the financial crisis. The systems continued growing, although the investments in the real economy has been declining. So, what do they do? What is this growing system behind which we are the guarantees? Because the system is guaranteed by state money, by the taxpayers. What is this system doing? It's investing in the financial economy. I will give you some pictures showing this development. These are the cross-border payments. Down the bottom there you see a real blue one, dark blue. That's the real investment, hardly increasing. Huh? Well, there is an increase actually due to globalization, but compared to the speculative streams, is enormous. Interesting here too is that there is a spot here when it goes down, but that was in the internet bubble. The 2007-2008 bubble has not affected the system at all. It's still, the speculation is going on and increasing as we speak. That's why the head of the IMF is starting to worry and tell all of us to worry about it, so we should. Another example, look at the commodity markets. These are from 5 key commodities and the number of annual trades. As you can see, until about 2005, they increased very, very little. Actually, 75% of most transactions were done between seller and end user. Then something happened. The speculators took over the market completely. So you can see the increase. I mean, it's just enormous. The number of transactions that's going on in the commodity market between people who are making money. Now, the questions that are now on the table. The first one, should banks be allowed to freely create and allocate money regardless of the purpose? That's a question that people start asking themselves. Well, you may ask yourself, do banks actually create money? Well, Michael Kumhof will explain it all to you. They do, actually. And there is a plan to make that stop, which is going to be presented by Kumhof. There are also other proposals on capital flow controls and other ways of trying to reduce the excessive creation of money. Another one, can the incentive structures be developed? There are a lot of proposals out there. One is this about weighting liquidity buffers for the bank, saying, okay, if you giving weights to different type of investments, thereby stimulating them to make the right ones. There is a Tobin tax, which is actually a Keynes tax, because Keynes was the first one proposing it. There are some ideas about innovative regulations. There are ideas about developed bonus systems within the financial system, banning some bonus systems that are too short term. There are issues actually about the accounting rules that incentivize people to do the wrong things. A third question, can the bank structure somehow be improved? Should one separate the investment banks from retail banks? There's a proposal from the Finnish governor Liikanen on behalf of the European Commission, where he proposes something like that. There are many proposals about a breakup of the mega banks, because there are studies showing now how about 27 international mega banks are totally intertwined with transnational companies, creating a system that if anyone is disturbed in this system, the whole system as such get into danger. There is a proposal on reintroducing partnerships for the investment banks. There's also an issue about recreating local banks. Because what happened here during the bank crisis is whenever we have a crisis, banks have merged and merged and merged and get larger and larger and get further and further away from entrepreneurs, local communities, local companies who need financing for their services. Should we somehow encourage the local banking and not allowing them, like what happened now in Germany, to invest their money in American subprime mortgages, but keep themselves to the market they know anything about? And can we create alternative financing structures? In Sweden right now there's a debate about developing the corporate bond market. Another that Bernard Lietaer will talk about is develop alternative monetary system, complementary to our ordinary one. And how can we achieve a peaceful transition from the dollar to a new reserve currency? Some proposes that we should have regional reserve currencies, the US dollar, the euro, the RMB, and there's a Chinese proposal on a new global reserve currency. And then the issue that I'm personally working a lot with is how to create missing institutions. If we have a global market economy, we need some sort of global institution to control it, especially if the global financial markets. Well, there are people who say there is no need. The financial market should actually be running the states, not the states running the financial markets, which is an unbelievable position in the Swedish culture, but it exists. And the second is to say, okay, we need a democracy that matches the market, a global democracy, which is a dream that won't come true. And then we have the possibility of creating some international rule of law, which is what I am trying to argue in favor of. And then we have Daniel Roderick and others who say, forget about globalization, start deglobalize, delocalize. So these are the issues on the table. And I promised to make this very short, and I hope I did. And I just wanted to give you this feeling, because we are really now talking about a major challenge to our society and to growth, and we need to do something about the financial system. Really, thank you very much.